The 2020 season was one that had a lot of storylines, and one of them going into it is, can Lamar Jackson finally win a playoff game? He made the playoffs in his rookie season after starting the final few games and had a horrible performance in his first playoff game. He followed that up year with a historic unanimous MVP season, rushing for the most yards as a quarterback in NFL history, while also leading the league in passing touchdowns. But again, they lost in their first round matchup with the Titans, and in 2020, they finally won their first playoff game with Lamar, but he consequently got hurt the next game where they lost to Buffalo. So why are the Ravens so dominant, but it seems to fade away the first sight where they don't have a lead? It's because Lamar Jackson is a running back and can't throw the ball when he needs to. Okay, that's absolutely not true. This narrative drives me insane because I can't think of a more lazy and unthoughtful analysis for a talent like Lamar. Why do we point at Mahomes in the Super Bowl and praise him for his efforts and blame the offensive line, or Brady last year in New England and say, oh, it's because he didn't have anyone to throw to? There was no separation. Look at this play right here against the Browns. This is Ravens fullback Patrick Ricard in the slot. This happens a lot more than you think. They will often have sets where they have Ricard, J.K. Dobbins, and two tight ends in the game. I don't think the Ravens necessarily want to do this. I think the coach knows the personnel and wants to put people on the field that's going to help the team out the most, and it just never happens to be the receiver position. Lamar is a more than capable thrower, but the Ravens refuse to go out in free agency or draft anyone to help him out. They have Hollywood Brown, who is a speedster but needs to be in the slot. He isn't a true number one. He can't consistently play big football outside. He is very talented, but I think he's limited by the offense, and it's holding back his potential. Until this year, there are no more excuses for this Ravens team anymore. I think they had a huge offseason and finally addressed the things that Lamar needs to be successful going forward. They went out and drafted Rashad Bateman, a true outside receiver, a red zone jump ball threat who also happens to run a 4.39 40. They went out and got speedy veteran Sammy Watkins, who when healthy was still able to be super productive in big games for the Chiefs, being the third or fourth option. They still have Hollywood Brown, who in my opinion is going to thrive in the slot and find himself open a lot more and warrant constant fear for linebackers and safeties to take the top off the defense. Offensive coordinator Greg Roman is going to have a field day with these new weapons while still having Nick Boyle and Mark Andrews at tight end. There's a fantastic video made about Greg Roman and the Ravens rushing attack on why they're so successful. He is brilliant at dialing up run schemes and dominating the lines up front. After watching this video by Brett Coleman, I see that these concepts can be run out of 11 personnel, which is one tight end, one running back, and three receivers. This makes them so much more complicated, and especially with the talent with Lamar has running the ball, defenses this year are going to have to choose what they want to play against. Do they play against the run because they know the Ravens will gladly ground and pound all the way up and down the field, but this leaves less coverage to guard three people who all run sub 4-4. And if they do play coverage, this opens up the run game. The Ravens still have the flexibility going their heavy pistol sets with two tight ends, a running back, and a fullback, which they've done a lot of and actually thrown out of very successfully somehow. But now the one receiver on the outside is also a threat to beat any corner one-on-one on the outside. If teams bet that Lamar is a running back and he won't be able to beat them throwing the ball, I think that is going to be an enormous mistake. And going back to the narrative that the Ravens can't come back when they get down early in games is going to be a thing of the past. And with how dynamic this offense can be now, I see them getting caught in deficits happening less and less. Even if they do get down and defenses have to play the pass, Lamar now has the weapons to combat this and work up and down the field, whereas before he didn't even have a chance. This Ravens offense terrifies me, and I can come up with any situation now and they have a counter punch for it. If a defense runs man, they run the ball. If they blitz Lamar, he destroys blitzes by busting open 70-yard runs with one juke and a burst downfield. If they play soft coverage, Lamar and J.K. Dobbins will gladly take 5 to 6 yards a carry. There are no longer any excuses for this Ravens team, and if there is ever a year to challenge the Chiefs and make it out of the AFC, it's gonna be this year. But they do have to worry about their own division still, which brings me to talk about Cleveland, who I also think had a brilliant offseason and draft, but that will more than likely be a separate video. But let me know what you guys think. If you guys are under the assumption that Lamar is just a running back and he can't get it done throwing the ball, I want to point to all these times where there's just no separation and the route tree is just so condensed when you're throwing to running backs and tight ends. And when you have someone like Hollywood Brown, he can be very valuable, but not as a true number one receiver. I think we are going to see a completely new Ravens offense, and I cannot wait to watch them this year. And I think Lamar could potentially put up better numbers than he did even in his unanimous MVP season. But let me know what you guys think, and make sure to like the video if you like videos like these. Make sure to drop down a comment what you think the record of the Ravens are going to have this year and how they're going to do with these new weapons, and why did it take so long for this to even happen in the first place. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed daily sports content, and as always, I will see you tomorrow. Peace!